after that limitation hit, I picked up the phone. I says, honey, and we just had a brand new child. I'm like, I got to quit. I go, there's just no way. And she's like, no, the stability and all this other stuff. I says, no, I got to quit. She goes, well, promise me one thing. Just promise you won't start your own business.
This is Creative Disruption, the intersection where entertainment, data, and creativity meet. Here's your hosts, Ricky Ray Butler and Derral Eves.
Welcome to Creative Disruption, the podcast where we talk about entertainment, data, and all the great things that are coming in the future of advertising. And I am Ricky Ray Butler, and I'm here with my co-host, Derral Eves.
Hey, Ricky.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing good.
So Derral has been, really unsupportive with me doing the introduction.
Whoa, let's not say unsupportive. I was encouraging you on after the 50th time. You actually did a pretty good job.
This is the first time you didn't cut me off. But anyways.
Just because we're running out of time.
Right. Well, today, we're going to have a lot of stuff to discuss and a lot of fun stuff. But what are you thinking about? Like, what are some of the things that
Mixer's on my mind right now?
Mixer, yeah.
And the reason why it's on my mind is a really strategic move by Ninja to go move his following over to Mixer. And I don't know what the deal was inked. I have no idea. But for someone that's really established on a platform to leave, it had to take a lot of money.
Oh, absolutely. With the amount of money he's making a month, et cetera, it was a significant upfront. Yeah. And I'm sure a guaranteed ongoing payment. I don't know any of the details of the deal.
Let me tell you why I love it more than anything else is because I believe we're going to see in the next about 3 years, it's going to be the battle of the platforms.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that are really dissatisfied with Twitch. There's a lot of people that are dissatisfied with YouTube.
Right.
Not very many people on Mixer, but it's basically the influencer has their audience, and wherever the influencer goes, is the audience is going to go there as well.
I think this is a good thing for Twitch.
No, I think it's a great thing.
I think the reason why I think it's so good is because whenever people talk about Twitch, it's always Ninja. It's always about Ninja.
Yeah.
When really there's a bunch of other streamers out there that are doing really well. They have very similar numbers to Ninja.
Yep.
And what's going to happen is Ninja's going to have some benefit because he's creating a lot of buzz, and I'm sure he made a lot of good money. Mixer's obviously going to have some benefit because they now have a mainstream, voice on their platform. But all those other streamers on Twitch today are now going to rise, and they're going to get more views. They're going to make more money.
Exactly.
And so I think for our industry, in general, it's really good.
So a couple things. It's like what encourages creators, and right now I think there's going to be a lot of platforms that are going to do these deals similar to what Mixer did with Ninja, and say, hey, here's X amount of dollars if you will exclusively stream on us. Now, that being said, that's going to really make the industry really top heavy in the sense of paying creators a ridiculous amount of money. Because I can only imagine Microsoft actually not too familiar with the space. I mean, they're familiar, but not too familiar with the space. Just inking a deal that says, hey, he's the biggest one. He has the most eyeballs. Let's get him over on our platform. And now to protect that, like what would be your way that you would retaliate? Wouldn't you just cut a check, say, hey, creators, stay? That's what YouTube did when Facebook was to come out and say, hey, Facebook was paying people to post exclusively on Facebook. And they had deals that were ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
And YouTube's like, no. If you stay with us, we'll pay you this type of guarantee. And so I see that happening, and it does create a sense of friction between new creators, but it's also going to open up more money for creators like on the platform that aren't necessarily making the money right now, just because the eyeballs to transfer eyeballs from one platform to the other is very, very difficult.
So this is something that's been happening for a while in China.
Yeah.
Where you have Weibo creators, and you don't see these Weibo creators on all the different platforms.
Yeah.
You have Douyin creators or WeChat creators. And the platforms have been very, good about making sure people stay very exclusive to their platform.
Well, because they finance the whole thing.
Right.
I mean, it's just
but I'm not saying it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's fun to see these types of moves made. And it's going to be really interesting to see what comes out of it. Not a lot of people know this, but for a while there's a Minecraft creator that was looking to compete with Twitch.tv really early on.
Right. And he went
um,
over. He was the first person to actually go over to Mixer, right?
Well, no. Well, so he partnered with some guys. Well, he was starting to partner with some guys that ended up developing Mixer and ended up going over to Mixer.
Got it.
But
Got it.
I mean, it was actually Sky Does Minecraft.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
And I don't think he ever followed through with it. But I mean, I thought like I met these like teenage kids that were building this platform. I was like, okay, these guys are over ambitious. We'll see what happens. Well,
and then they get acquired by Microsoft.
Well, no, literally just a couple months ago, one of them hit me up and said, "Hey, I've been at Mixer. That's where I took my. That's where I ended up working with, and while I was like working on that streaming platform, and it blew my mind. I had no idea that was happening.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm excited about this, and I'm going to be watching Mixer a lot more often. For me, in the business that I'm in, working with a lot of different creators across all the different platforms, being platform agnostic, I hope Mixer just explodes. I hope we have another option, to take our brands.
Well, like from a creator standpoint, and I really care about the creators. It's like the tools that they actually have on Mixer for community engagement. There's no other platform like it. Like they really thought that out. That's part of the system. But I can tell you right now,
because creators were behind.
Yeah, exactly. When you have creators creating the platform, then it's definitely creator focused, right? But I can tell you that even though we're talking about gaming and everything from here, but platform wise, TikTok right now is blowing up.
Oh yeah,
it is like super blowing up. Like we were just at VidCon. And I tend to watch Generation Z really close because I figure out if that's where it's at, that's where the wave's coming. And TikTok took over VidCon, whether YouTube or anyone else knew it, they actually did because everybody was posting to TikTok, not necessarily on Instagram or Twitter or even Snapchat. They were right in TikTok. And it was crazy.
Well, TikTok's owned by ByteDance, and ByteDance also owns.
China's going to rule the world.
Well, this is the thing. ByteDance also owns Douyin, which is the fastest video platform that has been growing in China, and so they basically have like two very fast growing platforms right now, TikTok as well as Douyin, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
and they took Musical.ly and they improved it. They made it way better.
Oh, it's so much better.
It's growing much faster.
Yeah,
and I remember when the Musical.ly creators were the big thing. I think like it wasn't ever at VidCon. It was at Playlist Live. And Playlist Live like had a really huge year because they got to all of the Musical.ly influencers before anyone else.
Right.
But here this last year at VidCon, TikTok was everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
And all the creators were there. And you have all the creators a lot of the creators from both YouTube, Instagram, and everywhere else now dabbling in it because they can't ignore it.
Yeah, you can't ignore it. It's like the eyeballs are now switching over. In fact, I was actually on a conversation call with John Yushai, and we had John on the podcast before, and he's the marketing manager for IGTV. And I'm like, how close are you actually watching TikTok? Because like right now with TikTok, there is a mass movement where they're spending more time and more of those eyeballs are actually going on to that content. And he says, we're really focusing on a lot of what we're doing, but we're looking to see what's trending right now. And a lot of the things that's going on at TikTok interest even Instagram of realizing maybe we need to analyze and adjust, kind of like what they did with Snapchat when Snapchat came and was rising to power. They're like, ooh, well, maybe if we add these features here that they like, we can keep, a big segment of our audience. So, yeah.
Well, the thing with TikTok, they're very calculated. Like they're being very strategic. My team has worked with TikTok, and has done some great stuff with them, and helping build different verticals on the platform, and they're very calculated. They have a formula, and this is something that Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, none of them have really done that. They've never really had a recruiting method. Yeah, and TikTok's doing it, and it's working. And that's I think one of many reasons why they're growing so quickly. Well,
it's like, okay, growth is one thing, but making money. And so, I mean, that was like, that's how Vine died on the Vine. It's just like, if there's not a way to monetize for creators, why are they going to do it? Right? Yeah, we can get masses of audiences and so on and so forth, but how can we make it more sustainable? And TikTok right from the beginning. I mean, they announced once they took over Musical.ly, it's like, we will have a monetization option on this. This is not going to be a thing that's just going to be left to a side. And they are literally executing on their plan. Now, still to this day, to monetize on Instagram and IGTV, they're still trying to figure that out, and they don't even have creators right now.
There's things that are going through beta right
now.
Well,
there's a few hand select things on beta, but realistically, if you can grow and you're ready to grow an audience right now, and you're ready to monetize, where would you want to go? I would want to go where there's actually momentum happening.
Sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
So,
well, this is the thing. Seeing what Facebook's been doing was interesting because Facebook engagement is not consistent. I mean, it's up, down. Like, I mean, it's really hard to predict what's going to happen.
Right.
Now, I mean, there are some creators on Facebook that have really gotten it and have figured it out, but they never know how many views they're going to get or what their averages are.
Yep.
However, on Instagram, engagement's very consistent.
Yep.
And so I even though they're not the new thing, I do think if they prioritize having some type of rev share with creators, they'll kill it.
Yeah.
Because the engagement on Instagram is just insane. And the stuff that we're seeing with Instagram stories specifically, the engagement, obviously only lasts 24 hours unless they feature the story. But that engagement destroys any other platform when it comes to like a brand being inside the content.
Yeah.
From an integration perspective.
I look at it like Facebook's trying to be the end all be all, right? Instagram is just targeted. This is all we do, and I think it's less complicated.
Yeah.
Facebook, they don't even know how it's going to work when they make adjustments. Hey, we're all about, Facebook Watch, and then it dies off in 8 months, right? It's like they don't know where their focus is going to be. But Instagram, it's fairly clear. I'm just saying that I think the tide's turning right now.
Yeah.
And if I was...
So do you think there's going to be a decentralization of platforms?
There's
going to be like a lot more platforms?
I would hope so.
Oh, me too. No, seriously.
No, I really would.
No, we agree. We're agreeing 100% on this.
We should always disagree, but this is something we agree about.
It's better for engagement if we disagree. Right. But because like in China, right now, I was working. I mean, just recently, I was in China and I was meeting with several different what they call KOLs, which is
MCNs in China.
No. So KOL is key opinion leader.
Oh, there you go. So they're the influencer.
So influencer,
networking for the network.
Right.
Okay.
And so, but as I went and met with some of like the different KOLs out there who sometimes build up massive networks of hundreds or thousands of creators. Like they figure out how to do something well, and they replicate it across hundreds of other channels.
Yep.
Or whether it's on Douyin or Weibo, but supposedly in China there's over 350 relevant video platforms.
That is crazy.
As a company, we're only monitoring like the top 7.
Yeah.
And it's because there's so much decentralization happening over there. It's really exciting. But I think in the West, we're like 5 years behind. It's going to be similar.
Well,
I hope it is.
I look at it this way. It's like when broadcast TV, there was like 3 or 4 stations, right? And then you had the introduction of cable TV. And with cable TV, it brought thousands of different channels. And then there's a lot of different providers. You can get different packages. The problem with it, and this is what the problem with most platforms is, they're like, you have to have these packages. This is what you get. This is what they're at. And when YouTube came along, it was like, no, broadcast yourself. If you want a specific niche, if you want to talk about cats for 24 hours, you can do this. This is an audience that you can build. Now, I look at some of the things that are happening with censoring, and don't get me, that could be a full discussion, but it's just more about, hey, you know what, there's certain things that we don't want on our platform or being said on our platform, and they're literally kicking off creators. Where are they going to go? Some of them gone to podcasts, then podcasts shut them down. Where are they going to go? Mm-hmm. And so there's going to be an opportunity for audiences and eyeballs to go somewhere. And I see that going to be happening. Just what happened when broadcast television was introduced to cable, you're going to have that actually happening here with platforms. And I can tell you that there's a lot of companies that are not afraid of this. And they're like, oh no, we won't weather this. We'll weather the storm, whatever it may be, because we're so massive right now. But I just bring up one statement.
Yeah.
MySpace. Like they were the king of the world and they wouldn't modify with it. And how fast did they go under?
You're 100% right. Well, what's interesting, before YouTube became very relevant, there were a bunch of blogs and websites that had video content.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that wonders if that is going to happen again, where a creator or a group of creators can be like, look, we have our own niche. We're going to create our own platform, our own like social network,
Right.
where we can keep pumping out our own content. Actually, you and I have discussed investing in an opportunity like this.
In depth.
But with that said, I think 12 years ago, when we're all looking at all the social media platforms, and we were trying to figure out, okay, is it going to become a lot more diverse? Is it going to be, is there going to be a lot more, different opportunities out there? And we're realizing that a lot of centralization was happening. I think video is where it's all going to change, where, there's going to be new platforms that have different types of videos and different types of content. And it's not going to be about, connecting with friends. It's going to be about consumption. And I think that's what's going to be around the corner, and it's going to be very disruptive.
Yep.
And that's what's going to hurt the YouTubes, the Facebooks, and all the the major platforms.
It's all coming back from how are they going to make money on it, right? And so, like, that was the whole essence of MCNs before. It's like, hey, we'll go ahead and group similar channels together, sell advertising on those channels. The only thing is kind of a flawed concept. I think the principle's true. It's like, hey, if you had 10 creators that were pumping out daily content or content a few times a week, it's like, how many eyeballs would you actually get? And then start putting a value on a very niche oriented audience and, targeting them. And so it's like, I think the revolutions will be in advertising more than anything else. And where the money goes is where the creators will go. And so it's like that. I think that kind of brings back the circle with Mixer and Ninja. I think it's a very strategic play for Ninja to do this, because you and I have seen creators come and go.
Yeah.
And when you're at your pinnacle, your peak, it's all downhill from there. There's always competition. It's tough.
Figure out a way to get a big lump sum of cash.
Exactly.
And then do something that no one else is doing.
Exactly. And I could only imagine, the type of deal that he actually got, I can only imagine that, to encourage someone to go off of a platform that has built up his reputation and to leave it. And I know that there was a lot of frustration with a lot of streamers that Twitch carries a heavy hand, and it's not balanced for female Twitch creators versus male creators. And then also some of the systems are broke, in that as well. Like every platform, when you're on the platform long enough, you can get dissatisfied with not being taken care of. But with Mixer coming in, I can only imagine, just say they take a third of Ninja's audience over there. Well, that's massive for a platform.
Sure.
And that's going to create new opportunity for not only Ninja, but for any creator that actually follows. And so I thought it was kind of petty, though. One thing that Twitch did, I don't know, but they took away Ninja's verification on Twitch.
Oh, did they?
They did. I don't know if it was petty. I don't know if it was part of the agreement. I have no idea. But yeah, he's not verified anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the best move.
I just,
because he might come back.
PR moves. Well, I don't see that. Like
you're not here anymore. Well, we're taking this away.
Yeah, we're going to give it to somebody that cares.
Yeah. So with all this change, you've been very influential in the creator space and helping creators navigate changes with algorithms, with monetization. Can you kind of give us, give me more insight of how you started? Because we've known each other for years, but I really don't know how you got into this space, because I'm usually tired of hearing you talk.
Well, there's some truth to that.
I'm just joking. No, but really,
no, you're not.
Well, but really though, because I know you've been very successful as an entrepreneur, and you've built businesses and sold businesses. Yeah. How did you get into entertainment and specifically being so obsessed with the YouTube algorithm?
When I was 8 years old, I was watching the Super Bowl, and I'm like, I want to make a Super Bowl commercial, and I'm not one that I wanted to be, a videographer or anything like that, but I wanted to come up with the idea, the concept, and to market it. And that was something that I just wanted to do. And growing up, I had access to computers. My dad was really good about making sure that when we had an interest that he was providing for that interest.
Oh, that's great.
And, I got bored in school a lot, and I had a policy: if I couldn't get schoolwork done in school, I wasn't doing it because I didn't believe in homework. Like I just wanted to further my education, which at that time was programming and anything with computers. And so when I got home, I served for 2 years as a missionary for my church down in Paraguay. Did a lot of volunteering down there, and it just really opened my eyes of how real the world is, and sometimes we don't see that living in America. And I was grateful for that opportunity. I got home, and for me, I just wanted to get done with school quick. And I'm like, what can I do to get done with school quick? And I clept out a lot of classes. Since I speak fluent Spanish, I was able to clep out of Spanish. And then the easiest course for me was to do my passion, which was communications, advertising, and marketing. And so I got a 4-year degree in 2.5 years. And I just don't think that we should conform to the system in the sense of, hey, you have to put 4 years in to get the education. So I clept out of a lot of classes, and I got my dream job. And my dream job was I wanted to live where I live in Southern Utah. And
when you say Southern Utah, this basically means Red Rock Desert.
Podunk, Southern Utah, right? Just right outside of Zion National Park. And I love it because that's where my family settled and that's where my family lives. And so I didn't want to move. And to live in that area, you either had to be in construction, real estate, or, some medical field. But other than that, there's not much, occupation unless you go into education. And so graduating, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go through the medical route and just work on the administrative side of medical. They can make a ton of money. I mean, I looked at the CEO of Dixie Regional is making 7 figures. And so I'm like, okay, that's something I want to do. So I got my dream job. I was assistant director of public relations and realized really quickly, I didn't like working for people that limit me. And I felt limited in so many different ways. And I remember after that limitation hit, I picked up the phone. I says, honey, and we just had a brand new child. I'm like, I got to quit. I go, there's just no way. And she's like, no, the stability and all this other stuff. I says, no, I got to quit. She goes, well, promise me one thing. Just promise you won't start your own business. And I'm like, okay. I says, I'll look. But
which I think is a Utah thing because there's so many entrepreneurs out there.
So much so.
And my mother, her father was an entrepreneur and did a lot of things. And when she found out that my father was going to be a physical therapist, she's like, done deal.
You're like sign me up.
Consistent, secure. Let's do this.
Yeah, no, it is.
But then she ended up being the entrepreneur.
Exactly. So that's kind of how it all began. And I had a lot of different job offers, but it would compromise either my internal beliefs in the sense of when to work and how to work and pull me away from the family, or it moved me out of the area, which I wasn't willing to do. So finally, after a lot of prayer, not necessarily convincing on my wife's part because my wife was super supportive, started my own business. And right there, we started out doing things I was already, proficient at, which is making websites. This is back in 1999. And then I was like saying, if we're building a website, I want to actually do hosting. And so we started a hosting company. And then 2, people need visibility online. And so we started to post to directories. And so at that time, directory of choice was Yahoo. And we had a little thing called Ask Jeeves. You remember Ask Jeeves? Are you old enough to remember the Ask Jeeves era of the internet?
Yeah. Well, Yahoo. And I mean, I was younger, but yeah.
So anyway, built that up, ranked websites, and got really good at it. Now, the cool thing for me is I had a mentor, my dad, and he's like, son, you got to have residual income. And so that's where we got into a lot of search engine optimization. And in that time, about 1999, 2000, that's called spam, just to let you know. At the time, you're just like spamming the keywords, all that other stuff. But
and I wouldn't necessarily say that's a good way of getting a residual income.
It was actually
maybe for like 3 years.
It was a new thing. Yeah. You're kind of evolving with it, and so we built up a pretty vast empire in building websites and getting them ranked. And Google came along and changed everything just because the way that it searched and discovered new content and displayed it out there. In 2005, it was a very interesting moment in my life. I was on Craigslist, not for that reason. But back in 2005, it was more like a dating site and like all the other stuff. But I was on Craigslist looking for a desk, and I wanted a free desk because I'm cheap. Like I'm super cheap, dude. So anyway, went on to go get a desk and see if there's a free one or a cheap one. And I saw this ad that says, "Hey, we will give you the new iPod if you will go on and get 100 people to sign up for this new platform. And I'm like, okay, this is really cool because the iPod at the time was like the size of a brick. And they just came out with like the size of a stick of gum.
What was the platform?
iPod Net. It was YouTube. And
what?
so this is October. This is October 2005. And
That's awesome.
my jaw dropped and hit the floor when I went onto YouTube the first time. And the reason why is I'm very good at seeing where technology is going and kind of innovating around it. And like that was the first time I saw a video played on the internet that didn't have the dreaded buffer. Before, you had to wait till the end. It had to all stream through before it would actually start. Well, YouTube, you hit the button and it had to play. And I go, what is this black magic? What is this, this voodoo that's going on here? And I was like enthralled. And then the next thing was, you could embed your videos on websites. So the first thing that went through my mind, Ricky, is how can I make more money with this? And so I went back and I upsold for a solid year every one of my clients that we did website work for, and we were doing some search engine optimization to actually do a video and put on their website. So we did 865 videos in the course of about 16 months. Now, during that time, and this is the longest story, but it will be really relevant. In 2006, YouTube was purchased by Google, and that's when everything changed. And I was super excited because I loved the platform and I loved what Google was doing. It was making us a lot of money. And in 2007, every one of those videos that I created, I gave them a good solid title, right? And we had a good description. They didn't have tags at the time, but they were actually starting to show up in Google search. And I was fighting my time with Matt Cutts. And Matt Cutts is the anti-spam czar and handles the algorithm, for Google. And I'm like, here's all this effort and time to keep a website to go to the top of the search engines. And all I did is upload a video. And so I sold off all our clients, anyone that wasn't paying a certain dollar amount. And I got rid of a lot of employees at the time, and I just focused 100% on video. And that was the beginning. And we did probably some of the most difficult type of conversion is getting people to take action in a video. Mm-hmm. And that's how it all started. And it blossomed from there. I really love that portion of it. I love the concept creation, grabbing people's attention and taking them through the process. I'm like, this is what I wanted to do when I was a kid.
And then this, guy from Hurricane, Utah,
I'm in the desert,
is an entertainment.
No. But here's the craziest thing. It wasn't until I was blowing up doctors, dentists, lawyers, pest control companies, and the pest control companies was a forte because, I live in the desert. There's huge cockroaches like the size of your head, right? And one of my friends that I helped him quintuple his business, and he had different employees that were coming on, and the phone was ringing, and it was really good. He went into this piano store, and the owner of the piano store says, "Hey, do you know anybody that does marketing? We need some help with our website. We're just doing stuff on YouTube." And he goes, "Oh, you got to use Derral. He's great. He's done all this." So I went and met this piano store owner, and he sat down and he says, "Hey, we're putting videos on YouTube to try to sell pianos."
I know who it was. It was Paul, right?
and it was Paul. And he goes, and I saw the video, and I'm like, "This is really good." And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "How many pianos have you sold?" He goes, "0." I go, okay, this is interesting. So before you know it, we started working together, and they're like by far some of the most talented people I've ever worked with. But in less than
we should say who they are.
Two short years, they went from an unknown piano store to selling out concerts, and that whole thing is they had 2.2 million subscribers and over 200 million video views. And if you're familiar with the Piano Guys, that's who we're actually talking about.
So the Piano Guys was a piano store in St. George, Utah.
Right.
That then became famous.
And they're out touring the world right now. Now, here's a couple things.
Great people to work with.
Amazing people. Like Steven Sharp Nelson is one of the most talented people. Al is one of the most talented people. Right. The whole thing. John and Paul, of course.
And Paul's the one that just basically started everything.
Yeah.
And then it blew up from there.
Definitely. It's really interesting of the right people coming in at the right time to make it happen. But the thing for me,
perfect example of looking at building an audience and creating videos for the purpose of building a media company and not just trying to be famous.
Yeah. Well, that's where it transitioned to me, because what happened was I found my love, and I'm really good at understanding algorithms and understanding human nature and how to blend the two worlds together to create content. And once that happened, I says, I'm going to stop doing these videos that are, trying to get people to buy whatever product. And I want to just 100% deal with audience development. And since then, I've helped 21 channels start from nothing and get over 1 million subscribers each. I think it's close to the total subscribership is we had like 78 million. Some channels we own, sometimes we partner with, but also.
So what's the collective amount of followers you have with all the channels that you own?
I don't know, probably 15 million, somewhere around there. But the thing about it is, we've helped create 45 billion video views. Now, I want to put it in context. About 1 billion of those were just dumb luck.
Sure.
Everything else was a pretty replicatable system in place. So, 44 billion of those was pretty replicatable. And, I've worked with some of the most amazing brands and creators in the world. Like the top creators, the top brands, I get to go in and do my work, which I love. So that's kind of how I got all started. But I can tell you though, along the way, I got really sick of answering questions from my clients on the most basic things. And I'm like, okay, what could I do to do that? So I actually started my own YouTube channel. It's like in 2013. And I started uploading videos of common questions that people would have because YouTube wasn't supporting that at the time. And right now I'm just shy of 600,000 subscribers. But the most important thing, it's only 20 minutes a week if I have that 20 minutes. And so that's what I've been able to grow. And so it's been fun. It's been fun.
So, and I'm sure it monetizes well, but not as well as your other channels, I'd assume.
No, like I look at it, the monetization aspect of it is I own a conference that I put on every year called Vid Summit, and it gets people aware of going to the Vid Summit.
It's really like a thought leadership play and
very
an
much
educational play.
It was 100%. When I was making the call, because this is what everybody needs to do. Do I want to brand it for me individually? Do I want to brand it as a company? A company I can sell. I can't sell myself. Well, I guess I could, but you know what I'm saying. But it was that decision. And for me, I wanted to make, and it's not an arrogance thing, but I says like, if I make myself known in the industry as that guy, then it doesn't matter what project I do, I can bring the weight to it. And so I made that play, and I'm not saying that was the right play for everyone. It was for me at the time. And, we, like whatever business I do, I bring that clout as long as I keep, pushing the envelope and kind of running from there. And that's how it all started. But
man,
I can tell you
amazing.
Where we met, and I know that you don't remember me, and this is long before you had the beard.
Long
before, yes.
Wait.
So it was in the basement of the Devin Supertramp meetup with the creators.
Oh, you were there.
Exactly.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was like, what was interesting at the time is I look at that group of people just saying, hey, let's try to figure these things out together. It's
a lot of those people have been very successful.
I look at
from you to Devin to
you had
cute girl hairstyles.
Exactly. You have a lot of people that have really disrupted the industry, seen the opportunity. I do give credit to Devin. Like, there's two people in Utah that I give credit for really exploding it, and one's Jeffrey Harmon, who we partnered on several things with, and then also Devin Supertramp. And I look at those two aspects, and Devin, did a lot of earlier work for Aura Brush and saw opportunity, and he was been able to explode. But what I love about that,
I started is what sustained a lot of those.
Well,
people.
Of course, yeah. Plaid was
not a lot of people realize this. I mean, Utah, I live in LA, but Utah for a while there was like the third largest community of creators.
Yeah.
It was first LA, then London, then Utah. And then since then, it's been much more decentralized.
Yeah.
And
Toronto's up there right now.
Toronto's up there, but right now we're in Dallas, and there's a lot of creators and a lot of viewership coming from Dallas.
Yeah.
From Dude Perfect to Preston Plays to Cute Girl Hairstyles. Like, there's a lot of stuff happening here too. It's happening everywhere, and I think that's what it should. I mean, that's what it should be.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It creates much more innovation when you have a lot of different perspectives from different communities and different areas.
Yeah,
and just Hollywood.
And it is, and I think that's the whole essence of it. I know that there's a lot of creators, big creators, like, I got to go to Hollywood. I'm like, why do you have to go to California?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Oh, it's just the opportunity. I'm like, okay, I don't know if you know this, but you go try to shoot out in public, and you're going to have to get a permit for that.
Right.
Right. It's a whole new level. And yeah, it might be a little bit easier and it's a little bit more close.
If you go to Hollywood, you go there to get a job,
right,
to work for someone, not to create a media empire.
Exactly.
Because if you want to act, that's not really starting your own business. That's going and acting. It's work for hire.
And there's a lot of creators there because of the brands are there.
And if you want to work for, unscripted, television, or if you want to be on the Late Show, yes, you're going to make a lot of money doing that, but it's not your business.
But how cheap is it to fly somewhere? I mean, come on.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
It's like we were having a conversation with a creator and they're like, oh, I got to go to Hollywood. I'm like, why? Like, do you even realize that the taxes of California? Like, why would you even want to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, he went there and realized, this is not a place for me. I'm going to move to Las Vegas where they don't have state tax.
Now I am in LA, and I did move there.
But you had to do it because you got acquired.
I was acquired. But to be honest, the advantages to LA is that it really is a hub of entertainers.
Yeah.
And so if you are in Iowa or let's say, some rural area in like Florida, it's going to be much harder for you to really network and collaborate. And so I'd say if you do go to LA, like do it for the collaboration, but you can also find another area to do that. So
you and I, we love to network. We love to meet people. I get it. Right. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, there's strategic times that, you should be creating better content versus trying to get better connected.
Sure.
Because it's all about getting the eyeballs at the end of the day.
100%. I mean, Mr. Beast, he's in North Carolina, right?
That's right.
I think that trend's going to continue to happen. And it's also cheaper, lower costs to being outside of California.
Living in LA, it's very strategic, and I think there's a lot of advantages for it. But at the end of the day, it's about the content, not necessarily about the connections. Like, connections will bring you more money. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that, right? Mm-hmm. Finding the right people, being exposed to the right people, and having them learn about you. It's like I hear about creators all the time.
You also can't be an island. Like, you do need to have some form of collaboration.
I want everyone to move to where I'm at. Like, not everyone. let me preface that. I just want the bigger YouTubers that I like to live where I'm at. So
they can all become rednecks.
That's right. That's right. So I'll tell Dan Markham that you called him a redneck.
Hey, well, so this is the thing. One thing you mentioned is that you first started out doing SEO.
Yeah.
And then YouTube was one of those things where once it got acquired by Google, it was wonderful for SEO.
Yeah.
I actually remember those days. I remember some of our first clients, how we sold them in. We're like, look, we're going to work with a lot of these different creators. They're going to talk about your brand. They're going to, put your brand, in the title or like the description box, which we don't do that anymore. Right. But we used to, have to like figure out strategies like this in order to get money, and it would destroy in a good way. It'd blow up their brand and destroy their competition. Yeah. And they'd not just get highly ranked on YouTube, but all search engines. Yeah. And I think it still works today. When you work with creators, that's like one of many things that is a benefit, that you have, long tail results. You have long tail success with SEO.
Yeah. No, I think SEO is always of value, whether it's in the video or, the metadata, for the video. It's like one of the projects I worked with the talented Harmon brothers, which you're familiar with. I was executive producer. I know you're part owner or whatever.
Yeah, I've invested in them.
But anyway, we worked on Squatty Potty, the pooping unicorn ad, and going through the SEO of that and the whole marketing structure. It's like you put so much time and effort on getting the right thumbnail, getting the right title. We spent a ton of money just testing and variating, and it's just like, once you have a system down, and you can say, oh, you're going to have a higher probability of people to click on it.
How many sales did that video generate?
So the company did $45 million of attributable sales to that video in the first 12 months.
Oh,
and so,
amazing.
it was unbelievable. They now sold.
So you wanted to, do a Super Bowl ad as a kid. I think doing something like Squatty Potty, with the Harmon brothers, is a much bigger accomplishment.
No.
Because it was a self-sustaining video that just went viral, but also just like continue to grow sales over time.
Right. I think the essence of how big the Super Bowl is how many eyeballs. People don't realize this, but the biggest entertainment show that happens on, throughout the year is the Super Bowl halftime, unless the World Cup's playing. The World Cup usually dominates everything worldwide, but the entertainment of the Super Bowl halftime show has the most eyeballs, especially here in the US. That being said, you take that, and the biggest moment in history happens 40 times on YouTube every day.
Yeah.
It's just that you have times that by 40, and that's what happens on YouTube. And so for me, I've done amazing projects, and you're familiar with a lot of those projects. We don't need to go in detail, but they have a lot more views than any Super Bowl ad would ever,
Right.
and for me, it's an honor. But what I love about it is Super Bowl commercials at the time were only, 30 seconds and a minute. And that was it. That was your exposure, that you couldn't go watch them again. You had to put the DVD or not the DVD, the cassette tape in there to record on your VCR. And that was it. And for me, I'd watch it over and over again, but now it's all accessible, online. And it, like you mentioned Squatty Potties, it's 4 years old, but it still brings in sales. They still are using it right now to bring in sales, whether through its paid acquisition or organic, it just does.
With all the content out there, and I'm a huge advocate of integration. I believe that is going to be a huge part of the future of advertising and marketing. But even today on YouTube, on Instagram, every month brands can see just as big of an impact, working with creators every month as they would with one Super Bowl ad, if not even bigger.
Yeah.
And if they're just to do it the right way, because the scale is there, the inventory is there, just most companies aren't tapping into it and really, taking it on aggressively.
Can I tell you why? And this might disrupt it a little bit.
It's a reverse model.
Well, no,
they have to do everything differently.
It is because of this. They're lazy. At the end of the day, no, seriously, it's like, here we could have one spot, get this many eyeballs, and it's some creative director and advertising firm that's pushing them on this, instead of saying, look, we could actually track and have ROI. If we do this other model, you take the same amount of money. I mean, to do a commercial on the Super Bowl is like $4 to $5 million right now for a 30-second spot. Yeah. You take that same thing for the same amount of exposure, and that doesn't include the production of the ad. So they're probably a good, 7-8 million going into the production of the ad. And they take that same moment, do that same thing for a month, but do it the way that we're talking about. And they'll probably 10 times the reach, but absolutely. Also 10 times their brand, their brand engagement.
Absolutely. And you can actually, track clicks.
Exactly.
You can track sales.
Yeah.
Something that, most Super Bowl ads aren't doing. I wouldn't want to use the word lazy, but it really is going to take a lot of work.
I'm going to say no. I'm calling them lazy. It's like, lazy. No, let me tell you why. It's like, you have this money grubbing, like, here, let's throw all this money at television, but there was no way to track it. It's like the easier way to do marketing, because they're like, all they got to do is spend through money, and they're making a percentage.
But big companies have so much red tape, and you really do have to reverse what you've been doing for 100 years.
Right.
In order to work with creators and influencers the right way, and to be data driven, and to scale it to get to the point where you can work with thousands of them with good quality control, that's going to take time. You're going to have to sell it into a bunch of different departments, from not just marketing, but also to finance. But also, you have to be willing to step back and say, okay, everything that we've done in creating marketing or advertisements in the past, we have to just change and shift what we're doing, step back, and do it this other way. Well, and to be honest, it is a more data-driven approach as well. But
100%. So let's take
the gaming companies are starting to kill it.
Let's go ahead and take Epic Games, for example.
Yeah.
They had the Unreal Engine. They had a game back, was it 1993, 95, called Unreal Tournament. And it was just like off the charts with the graphics and stuff like that. I killed a lot of people that way. Not in the video game. Let's clarify it. Right. But anyway, that was their big hit, and by that time they were actually just using the technologies and licensing it out to other companies, and that's kind of how they grew. And they went for many years just acquiring different companies like Chair that did Infinity Blade and a few others, and just kind of integrating them into their system. When they launched Fortnite. And I want to put this because it's very relevant, especially with the beginning of this podcast. When they launched Fortnite, they took a step back and says, okay, how are we going to do brand integration? How are we going to do creator integration? And how are we going to keep it relevant just so that it's not a game that comes and goes in 6 months?
Right.
How is it going to innovate? And their whole gamification within the game and the whole monetization model. I mean, think about this, to saying to a company, hey, company, we want to give your stuff away for free, right? You're going to completely give it away for free. And yet, how many companies would do that? And Epic Games did. The game's free on every platform, and then they have in-app purchases, and there's a gamification model where you can buy into a season, and they're opening different seasons, and there's different skins, and people don't realize that billions and billions and billions of dollars are transacted on a free game. And what I love about Epic Games,
disruptive gaming forever,
100%. And what I love about Epic Games is they went all in on the most important side of it. So the game side is really important. That's where people think, oh, the product. And they thought about the distribution, which was getting creators paid. I mean, here you had a 16-year-old kid just win the World Cup and made $3 million. $3 million. And they're giving hundreds of millions of dollars away to creators to what? Play the game, to compete. And that is marketing money. Those integrations right there are super solid, and they literally have transformed an industry, and people come play. Like they're trying to compete with Fortnite, and you work with a couple that have done a great job disrupting it. But at the end of the day, where are the eyeballs going, and where is the money flowing? Yeah. More importantly, and I can tell you right now that the most innovative thing that Epic Games has done wasn't Fortnite, but the way that they actually pay their creators is the most innovative way. So
that is very interesting. And they create something sustainable, and all brands can do that. I mean, you look at also Apex, from Electronic Arts. They launched their first week and they got over 25 million players their first week. Yeah. And they did not do any traditional form of advertising.
Oh, they did it. They sponsored a Mr. Beast video. Right?
They worked with a good variety of different creators and influencers. And right now, that's the biggest rival to Fortnite.
Yeah.
And it's the biggest competitor, and stealing market share.
And stealing market share is the freshness of the game, but it will not be sustainable unless there is a trigger to pay creators in a uniform way. And so it's like I truly believe that the next iteration of platforms is who's going to pay more money and who's going to create less resistance of them making money.
Well, personally, I think it's a better game too, though. Because it's more appealing not just to the younger audience.
I can tell you why. I can tell you why you think it's a better game.
Yeah.
You want to know why? Because you don't have to build anything.
Exactly. I do not want to do that Minecraft stuff. and I think it's a lot more fun. But the thing is, there's a lot of challengers out there.
Right.
And the ones that are doing the best and are performing, the best as well are the ones that are inside the content, not blasting advertisements outside the content.
I would agree with that. And I look at where we're going as a society, with brands and so on. And it's really interesting. You have the space race right now happening. You have, Amazon and SpaceX and these different corporations that are just trying to get to that next, iteration.
Yeah.
I think a lot of businesses as we know it are going to fade out because they're relying on old strategies to get eyeballs and they're not collecting data and they're so afraid of the data.
Why is SpaceX so famous?
Well, there's a couple.
Well, they're doing amazing stuff and they have good content.
Well, like at the end of the day, it's like, can you get the word out? Like Elon Musk, whether you like him or hate him, I don't care if there's Elon Musk lovers or haters. He's probably the best showman that has hit the internet and the world in 100 years.
Oh yeah.
And some people will say, oh no, it's Steve Jobs. But the difference is Steve Jobs is very cold and calculated, and
didn't communicate with.
He couldn't
communicate with his audience.
I love him, but
I mean, if he did more in a central way. Elon really connects, with his audience,
right?
And he's an entertainer, as you said. And he's also a content creator.
But the difference is as a content creator, the difference is he has a vision of why these things are working. Why did he start Solar City? Why did he do SpaceX? Why he's doing Tesla? Why he does Gigafactory? All of it comes together for a main purpose, whether you agree with him or not. But he's going to get someone to Mars, I guarantee it. And so it's like that right there is the essence of where things are going. And so
one of the riskiest investments I've done, by the way.
Is that what it is?
Is in SpaceX. Hey, well, more about like what you're doing. Like, you told us your history.
Yeah.
And thanks for doing that. But what are you the most excited about that you're working on now?
Right now, you and I both invested into a project.
Right.
We're doing a TV series on the life of Jesus Christ. And I'm probably more interested in that because of the disruption that we were able to do. Most shows are funded by Hollywood or, fat cats within Hollywood. And we went the crowdfunding route. What I love about it is we basically had our audience become partners of ours, and we were the first one to actually go and get approval with the Securities Exchange Commission to take public money to do a reggae offering. Raised well over $13 million, and we're now producing. That's why we're here in Dallas, is because we're producing a show just down the road. Which I'm really excited about.
One of the reasons I'm here.
Yeah, well, I know you got. Ricky, you always have like multiple reasons why you're here.
Whenever I go to a new city, it's like I have to have like 5 reasons to be there.
You're right. Okay, to eat at a steakhouse. No, is that what it is?
That's a part of it.
Oh, okay,
that's a part of it. No. What's happening with The Chosen really is exciting, but I really think it's showing. I mean, what happened with that crowdfunding? Well, I think it's like the tip of the iceberg.
No, 100%.
I think there's eventually going to be blockchain platforms that's going to make it so all content creators can go out there and raise money and create what they want to create. With really high value of top Hollywood productions.
Yeah. For me though, it's like taking a step back, and yes, I'm passionate about the project, but I'm more passionate about the community.
Yeah.
We're doing stuff that has never been done before.
Absolutely.
We have following. The show hasn't even come out. We have a following of over 300,000 avid fans.
And they're very engaged.
Very, very engaged. Mm-hmm. Like I build audiences for a living, and we have our fans of group. It's just really small. It's about 7,000 people of the 300,000. Mm-hmm. And last week we had 54,000 post engagements in a week in that small little group.
Out of 7,000.
Like you can't get much more avid.
Yeah,
than
that's
that.
amazing.
But no, I'm really passionate about that. But I'm a firm believer that I think platforms will be decentralized, like we talked about a little bit earlier. And it's going to be about the content and the eyeballs. Who's going to get the eyeballs? And so right now you have platforms banning people for certain beliefs or whatever it is. Those eyeballs will shift. And whether it's in an in-app or whatever, I think, we're going to have a lot of competition for eyeballs, and I think it'll be decentralized for sure.
No, I'm really excited about that investment, but also what it's going to turn into.
Yeah,
as you make fun of me a lot because I either invest in Bible content or horror films. When it comes to my entertainment investments,
it's like
those are the two. Those are the two genres that make money.
You're like yin and yang.
Oh yeah, well, you have to look at profit, whatever you do. And
what Satan? Let's do profit for Satan.
No. It's one of those things where there's a market, for both, and if you look at the history of Hollywood, it's always been, the Bible content or the horror content that have been the most profitable.
Yeah,
and I have a lot of high level producers that have said that my investing strategy is really smart.
And the reason why they say smart, because one of them will take off.
I mean, when it comes to like selling them to TV networks, etc. But no, Derral, this has been a fun podcast.
Yeah, it's been great.
I like it when we just rip it back and forth and agree and mostly disagree, and it's awesome. But everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Again, we're Creative Disruption, and please subscribe and like this video and share the word. Yes,
something like that.
Crap.